Here we are with ticker symbol NIO, NEO Inc. And before we jump into this chart, I want to say welcome to all my first time viewers and investors. Welcome to my channel, Invest for Tomorrow. To all my subscribers, welcome back. And we're going to jump into this chart in just a moment. But before we do, I want to point out some things that I noticed that are very interesting between the three ticker symbols that everyone is talking about. And we're going to look at them closely. And one of them is NEO. The other one's Li Auto, and the other one is XPEN, I believe, or G. We're going to look at it in just a second. I'm going to look it up. Or no, it's XPEV. And those three are actually being talked about tremendously. Everybody's comparing them. But something I found interesting in their charts, and I stated it yesterday, was that on the 29th, which is the beginning of the true bullish run, like all of them were kind of sideways movement before that. But from the 29th forward, they've ran. Something I wanted to look out for was, how are they going to react? Are they going to go in different directions from this point forward, right? Or are they all going to slightly dip? So we're going to look at that. I also want to announce that there will be a trivia question at the end of the video. I want to say thank you to everybody that answered correctly yesterday's trivia question. So stay tuned till the end of the video, because those are important cues that I usually like to emphasize so that nobody misses it. So if somebody writes it down, you guys can check it out in the comments, and just for you guys to memorize these points that are important for the coming days. So we're going to look at that closely in just a moment. So let's look up XPEV. Well, it's right here. So that's the third one that I was getting a little confused about, but it's XPEV. So here we are with the 29th, right? It all started here, and then this one was a little bit different. It was in a sideways, slightly bearish trajectory, but when you look at it, it kind of bounced up. But from that point forward of the 29th, let's actually get this bigger because that's too small. Here's the 28th, and the 29th is where the bullish run truly started. So it slightly dipped and then it shot up. It went in the same trajectory, and all of a sudden we're up here, and now it's slightly dipped and leveled off. Looks pretty similar to me, like NEO. And then we're going to look up Li Auto. Li Auto is interesting as well. And you could see they're all having a similar pattern. So the 28th is here. The 29th started right at the end of this leveling off, and right here when it shot up. And it continued to go up in an upward direction. And you could see it in the chart. And all of a sudden, it slightly fell and it leveled off as well. Now, they're all falling differently in the sense of how sharp they fell or how quickly they leveled off. They're at different price points. They have different market caps, and they're three different companies. But I just found that interesting that since the 29th, they have all three been reacting similarly. Now, the only one that I know has been in a healthy growth, and it wasn't like it just shot up out of nowhere, it's been leading to this point, is NEO. I mean, it's taken NEO months to get there. But the fact that all three of them are doing the same thing, I want every single investor to be aware of that. And also, we need to pay close attention for the next coming weeks and maybe even months. Are they really going to react the same, or is this just a temporary coincidence? Because if they're going to react the same, I mean, if you know one's going to go up and the other one has some type of indirect or direct correlation, that's 2 times the opportunity right there of being in 2 different companies. But you would call it diversification because you're spreading out your eggs, but you're almost expecting the same thing to happen, but at different prices. I think the one that comes with a premium is NEO. NEO is probably the most costly one out of all of these, but I just found that interesting. I wanted to share that with you guys, and we're going to look at NEO closely here. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to see yesterday what I had stated in one of the other videos. I believe it was in Li Auto, and if not, it was in XPEV. It was one of those. I had stated that these stocks, since they were all correlating, if they did the same thing, they would similarly look the same in some sort of way. And if they didn't break through resistance, we were going to end up seeing this kind of level off like it did here, right? Because it's been doing the staircase effect. And what was going to happen is the next staircase, which is being formed right now on this consolidation, would be the bounce back, and it would get it up to newer highs. So now we really need to pay close attention to how this reacts starting next week, and if the bulls can come in hefty and strong to bounce this back. Now, NEO has a good history of sideways movement and then going to the next high. This is just kind of been very exponential. This is great growth for NEO, but the question is, could NEO hold it up? Because NEO has to hold this up to continue this healthy run that we've seen all year. That's one of the most important things, and I want to kind of now focus more on NEO and not Li Auto and not XPEV. Right now, because they have that correlation, but right now for NEO, there hasn't been any time to consolidate. It's just been running. So right now we're seeing some sideways movement. If it can consolidate and then actually kind of create that staircase effect, whether it keeps going sideways or this is the end of it, and now it bounces back up because it did that bounce and it jumped to the next level, that's going to be a healthy sign for NEO that it's continuing to pull away from the 50-day moving average and in upward direction and maintaining control from the bulls. So you really want to pay close attention to how NEO is reacting next week, and how do the bulls maintain this, or are the bears going to be able to gain leverage, because this will catch up to the price and they're just hanging out sideways, and we ended up in bearish territory. Super important. Now we're in bearish territory, and that would cause the effect that the bulls have lost leverage, and this could be on to newer lows and new support levels. So we need to pay close attention to what is going on next week and how this continues to play out. And I also want to watch closely for the next coming days and weeks, Li Auto, XPEV, and NEO, to see if they're all correlating the same. Because up till now, they weren't really doing the same thing. Sometime in the months and in the days, there was some type of correlation, but it wasn't like directly like we're seeing it clearly on a specific date from the 29th forward, just doing the same effect. And now they slightly dipped and leveled off, and they're looking the same. So let's see here our new support and our new resistance level. So I want us to still keep in mind 43.95. That is the most important number for the bulls right now, for this to reach newer highs and new resistance levels. So keep that written down, and that's the most important point for the bulls, for this to hit new highs and continue the momentum. Okay, and this support level is super important to let us know in which trajectory this is going and who's gaining leverage. Are the bulls gaining leverage, or are the bears? Because this is in bearish territory, and this is the first support that will be broken through within bearish territory before the bullish run happen. So super important to keep that number in mind for the coming days and weeks. So let's go ahead and zoom in here and see what's important based off of the last couple of hours. I want to narrow this down as much as possible so that everybody can have some sense of direction here. And then I'm also going to talk about it a little bit broader within the same day. Those numbers from yesterday to today, this support level down here and the resistance up here, is super important in the long term, whether it's days or weeks from now. And now we're going to look at this closely for Monday, right? So right now it's currently at 41.50, and it's bouncing between 41.50 and 41.68 and so forth. It's trying to consolidate that time frame. This is a 30-minute time frame, so it kind of bounces around, but to be exact, it's at 41.67, and it's going to keep moving because the volatility is there. It's towards the end of the market, and also we got to pay close attention to how this does after hours as well. So the lowest point reached in the day was here at 39.76. You can keep that number in mind as well. You want to kind of like this, break this into pieces so that you can kind of see the behavior in between one point and the other. So that's very important. And then the highest point that the bulls were able to touch was up here at 43.26. That's the highest point in this sideways movement. So you want to keep that in mind. But before getting to any of those numbers, our 50-day moving average is 40.42. I'd write that down. That lets us know on what side of the chart we're in. We're currently in bullish territory if we're above it, and when you're below it, you're in bearish. And for the bulls to continue this momentum and get to all these other resistance levels that are super important for the next coming days, the first resistance level that they need to break through is 42.24, and that point will be the beginning of a catalyst to give us as investors a center direction that this is pulling away from the 50-day moving average in an upward direction. So the bulls want to break through this, and they need to break through this to hold the momentum and bring themselves up. And their first step is breaking through 42.24, turning that into a support and reaching newer highs and new resistance levels. So I want to emphasize the bulls need to break through 42.24, turn it into a support so they can reach new resistance levels and pull further away from the 50-day moving average. Now, on the other hand, we have what the bears want. And the bears want to break through the support. And as you see right now, we just switched over to the next 30-minute time frame. We're currently at 41.81 after hours, right? The first minute after hours, and the market closed at 41.63. That's already like a 22-cent jump, right? That is pretty big. Pretty big if you ask me. And actually, that's not a 22-cent jump. That's an 18-cent jump. Excuse me for that. Did the math incorrectly. But that right there is incredible just within 1 minute. And we're going to see in the next couple of minutes how this continues to roll out. And obviously pay close attention to it the next couple of hours. And as you saw, the 50-day moving average has moved up closer to our support. So this is very important, because if support gets broken through, this is just giving more leverage to the bears, which is what I was about to talk about before this actually jumped over. So right now, this support is a very narrow stretch between the support level and the 50-day moving average, because the 50-day moving average is right there. There's no window to see the behavior of the stock. If support is broken through, this might be into bearish territory, and it could start to hit new lows and pull further away from it in a downward direction. So our support is currently 40.55, and that is the point that I want to emphasize to all investors. Pay close attention to how the stock is behaving, how quickly is it hitting newer lows, and are the bulls trying to reappear to bring this back up into bullish territory? Because if this breaks through support, this could be on its way down to new support levels and pull further away from the 50-day moving average in a downward direction. So I want you guys to be mindful of that, pay close attention to it, and I emphasize, watch the behavior of the stock to see what is going on if it breaks through support. And my emphasis on the resistance at 42.24, the bulls need to break through it and turn that into a support to pull away from the 50-day moving average, maintain momentum in bullish territory, and get deeper into it to hit new highs and new resistance levels. As always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please do so and subscribe. Don't forget to click on the bell to turn on all notifications and not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community, and don't forget to hit the like button to let me know you watched this video. So, trivia question. This trivia question is actually yesterday's same question, and the reason why I ask it is because I really want to emphasize the importance of it even going forward. And the question is, what is the highest point that this stock has reached in the whole valuation as we see throughout the whole year and in this bullish run, and why is it important for the bulls to break through it? What's the highest point reached in valuation, which is what point is it up here, what number is it, and why is it important to break through it? And I look forward to seeing your guys' answers down below. Don't go to the previous video to look for the answer. I just want to emphasize this because right now, that is one of the most important points to know if this is probably going to newer highs, or did the bullish run slightly end for some time, or is this going to consolidate, or what's going on? Because that's one of the most important numbers to be broken through to see this chart hit newer highs and new resistance levels. I look forward to seeing your answers. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.